Patchworx Brewing. I'm your host, Patrick. Today, we're going to rack a beer into a secondary. So we're going to take this barley wine I made. We're going to put it into this carboy. Basically what I want to do is add some bourbon-soaked whiskey oak chips to the bottom of this carboy, rack the barley wine into the carboy, and let it age for another 6 to 8 weeks is what I'm thinking. Maybe longer. Then just to get more character out of that barley wine, spice it up, make it more exciting. So let's go over a few things here. So this is just a plastic carboy. I'm using a 6-gallon carboy. What I did before, obviously you can see I sanitized it. I went ahead and sanitized it, got it cleaned, made sure it's good to go. I did purge it with CO2 because I want to keep as much oxygen out of this beer as I possibly can. You don't need to purge it if you don't want to. That's optional. I mean, you're not going to hurt anything by purging it. And all I did was take a line out of the keezer off of a CO2 tap, stuck it in there, purged it, and made sure that all the oxygen was pushed out, or at least as much as I could. So let's get to the next step, and we're going to add the oak chips to this carboy. Then we're going to rack the beer on top of that, top of those oak chips. Okay, so we got our oak chips right here. I put them in this little 2-gallon bucket. I don't know if you can see it or not. See if I can do it without spilling the whiskey. So I put this in here probably, geez, I don't know, 10 months ago. Actually, I think it's been longer than that. I think it's been like, gosh, I want to say, no, it's been about 10 months. 10 months to a year. So I'm just going to pull the top off of this carboy. This little bung out, throw it in my sanitizer. And I'm going to use 6 of these. These are basically just whiskey staves that a guy gave me. They're from a local whiskey distillery. So you can see the charring on the end of that stave, or on the end of that cube, I guess you'd call it. I'm going to add 6 of them into this carboy. Last time I made this beer, I did 4, and I thought it needed more of the bourbon character. Shoot, maybe I'll do 8. Make sure I can get them. See, that one's too big. No. See, that's cool. It's right where the band was. Let's get a different one here. I just soaked these in cheap whiskey. I didn't use anything fancy. Just cut them all up into the decent sized square. That way I can store them and put them. Oops, let's not drop them on the ground here. It's cold. They're cold to hold. So I got 6. Let's do 8. Let's be adventurous today. So here's 8. Last one. So we got 8 of them in there. So I'm just going to let them, a little bit of whiskey I got in there. I think it'll be okay. Okay. So we got the carboy down here. First thing I'm going to do, I got my siphon here sanitized. Ready to go. Obviously, make sure you sanitize everything. This is common sense in home brewing. This line is really long. I think I might cut it real quick. Should have probably done this before I started recording, huh? I like to make it interesting, so we'll cut it right there as I drop the scissors on the ground. So, first thing to do is actually to pull the lid off the fermenter. So or pop the lid off. I shouldn't say pull it off. So let's pop that lid off. If I can get it open here. Okay. Let's try it again here. So take the bung off. Get the hose in the carboy here. And what you want to do is get that tube as low down as you can, or as far down as you can. You don't want to create any splashing on this, because you can introduce oxygen into your beer, your finished product. We don't want to do that. So let's pump it. Get it primed here. Get that down low. Try it again. Sometimes they're a pain in the butt. Only when you're recording something are they a pain in the butt. So I'm going to get a little bit of yeast there in it. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let this rack into this carboy. Then we're going to store it away and let it age for a lot longer, or a little bit longer. I'll probably check it in 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks. Look at how pretty that is. Pretty clear to me. Coming out of the siphon here. So we successfully racked the barley wine into this carboy. Good thing I used a 6-gallon carboy, huh? So I think my original gravity on this was 1098 or 1096. It's 1096. Final gravity was, I think, 1026. If I'm remembering correctly, I think that's around 9.5%, somewhere in there. So, a few things. What's the benefit of a secondary or racking the beer into another vessel? The biggest advantage is clarity. This beer is going to drop out even further and get even more clear. If you do a standard strength beer, rack it into a secondary, you'll really improve your clarity quality. Another thing is you could also add additions to a secondary like fruit. In this case, we're doing wood. Or you could add, you could do even a sour or something like that if you want to do something crazy. Or a secondary does have advantages. Basically, I only use a secondary when I'm adding something to the beer or putting fruit in the beer. That's pretty much it, or aging it. That's another big thing, is you can rack it off the yeast and age that beer for quite a while. So here is my barley wine. I even got a little bit after I transferred it all. I got the chunky stuff. It smells great. It smells like sweet, pure maltiness. Sweet toffee, just explosions of toffee and caramel, and it's just, this is an English style barley wine. I used an Irish, a lower attenuating yeast on it, so it's not going to dry it out. This one I did add a little more hops to it than the style calls for, just because last time, remember, I wanted a little more hop bitterness and a little more wood character, so I did those two on the same beer. I tried to save my last barley wine, but there's this unfortunate thing when you have all these friends that like to drink, and it goes really fast. So this one, I'm going to put it in the corner, let it sit. I'm actually going to keg it and bottle it from a keg instead of bottle conditioning, just to try something different, see what happens. So let's see what happens with my creation. This is my Go Big or Go Home barley wine. Follow me on Instagram at Patchworx Brewing if you guys want to see when it's ready, see what I think of it, or who knows, maybe I'll do a tasting video. Anyways, cheers guys. I appreciate it, and just remember, drink good beer and be happy, whatever you want to call it. Thanks guys, bye.